Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're proud to host this special webinar as part of our commitment at Anthem Memory Care to support families, caregivers, and professionals on their dementia journey. At Anthem, we believe in providing person-centered, purpose-filled care that honors dignity, encourages connection, and supports well-being at every stage of life. Our program will be recorded and can be found on our Anthem YouTube channel in the coming week. We bring back to you tonight a legend in dementia training, Dr. Tam Cummings. Dr. Tam, as she is known in the dementia community, is a practicing gerontologist who has devoted her professional career to educating both professional and family caregivers. In 2009, she founded the Dementia Association with the mission to inspire, educate, and empower dementia caregivers. At Anthem, we utilize her transformative work, including the Itty Bitty Dementia book, in our daily conversations with families of those with dementia. You may have already received your copy of the Itty Bitty Dementia book from your local Anthem community. If not, it is available on Amazon. Families, professionals, and caregivers, it is a great honor to present to you Dr. Tam.
Thank you, Chris. I just wish I could hire you and just follow me around and do stuff like that all day long. I'd feel so fancy. Can y'all see my face or can you just see the screen? No.
We can see a little face and we can see a big slide.
Oh, wow. Wonder why that's doing that. Okay. So, thank you. Yay. We're doing something right today. So I love doing these events with Anthem because you guys come up with the most fabulous topics that go more in depth to what I think families need to hear, even though some of them may not affect every single person. There's still such wonderful information out there. And for me, it's a great challenge because I deal so much in dementia that this one, I had to go back and review some things about theories of aging. So what we're going to do today, and this actually stems from one of the Anthem memory communities, and it is a community where they have realized that their support group is giving so much support to each other that it actually led to the development of this presentation that y'all are going to see. And so it wasn't my idea, it was y'all's idea, because what you had seen happen in one community and what a difference it made for the family member who belongs to the support group. So this is tonight we're going to talk about finding purpose, embracing life after placement, and then just the things that come with it. I'm going to give you some books that you may not have heard of that are really good, and then we're going to talk about, as usual, some stuff that's just really, really hard to talk about. So let's go ahead and get started. And of course, you know, if I lose you, stop us, but otherwise we'll do questions at the end. So when we have strong social connections, and every longitudinal study in aging has a focus on the social connections, because it is realized how very, very important that is for your health, for your cognition, for your sense of humor, your sense of well-being. We know that those strong connections with friends or buddies or people you've just met but have a lot in common with, or people you've known for a long, long time, that having that ability to reach out to someone by phone or in person or at the support group reduces your loneliness. It also affects and reduces depression and anxiety. And you and I both know that depression and anxiety are two of the things that get the caregiver, because how could you not be depressed when you're watching this happen? And how could you not have anxiety when you don't have the information you would have about this disease if it was cancer? And so you deal with things in a different way than any other set of caregivers does. Having friends improves mental health, especially if your loved one is still at home and you are spending most of your day with somebody who has memory challenges. That takes a toll on you emotionally, physically, and cognitively. And I think a lot of times we don't realize that one of the key functions of our support groups is it puts you back in front of people who understand your journey, but people who also understand what's happening to their loved one, and they're able to step up and give you support in a way that you probably haven't had from other people. We know that being around people who we feel supportive, who we have these strong social connections with, it actually improves our physical health. It enhances our cognitive function. And so one of the most famous longitudinal studies, its official name is the Baltimore Longitudinal Study of the Nuns of blah, blah, blah. And I don't remember what the nunnery was called, but it is known in shorthand as the Nun Study. And one of the most interesting things that came out of the nun study was that all of the nuns had agreed to have their brains autopsied. And when they autopsied two nuns who died within the same amount of time, within a year, both of the nuns were in their late 90s. Both of the nuns' brains showed horrible decay and destruction from the disease. Yet one of the nuns, no one knew that she had dementia. And the main thing that they could come up with in the research was that one nun was not social. And she was the one that showed the effects of cognitive impairment at a much greater level. The nun who was very social, always smiling, always busy, always doing stuff, no one in the nunnery could even believe that that nun had dementia because she appeared so normal to them. And that's how important socialization, social connections are. They not only protect our brain, but we use the social model with your loved ones because it's the model that lets us do the best for them and the best for their brain, even though their brain is dying. For you and I, it enhances our brain, it enhances connectivity, it enhances how we think because we're engaged with people, and that is such an important part of human function. Now, studies, and there are lots of studies that have now been put into effect for caregivers. And one of those is that self-care has got to be a priority for you. And what we find has happened in most family caregivers is your self-care is way back behind everybody else's. And so self-care has got to be a priority. And that can include simple things like your nails, going to get your hair done, having a massage. I personally don't like a massage, don't want people touching me, but for other people, that is the cat's meow. Taking bubble baths, reading, and reading things that are comforting to you. I would never admit this in public, Jamie, so please, let's just keep this between us here at this group. I
Okay.
read Louis L'Amour Westerns because the same thing happens. They're not very violent. He gives them every chance to get away. The bad guy always goes away. The good guy always wins. And they're Westerns. And I would never admit that to anyone because, it's not that I'm reading theory all the time. When I am doing something for myself, I read what makes me feel least anxious, what makes me feel happy. I like to cook. And by cooking, I know people that don't like to cook at all, but I like baking bread and I've learned how to bake bread. I have a friend who loves to make pies and makes the most beautiful pies. I have another friend that says all she's good for is chopping, so she always chops up stuff and makes soup. So if cooking is your thing, go to the half price bookstore, get a $50 cookbook for $10. It can happen, but find something you like and see about doing that. Look for stress reducing hobbies. I'm not going to tell you that I think a group of y'all going zip lining would be a woohoo fun thing. Maybe not. Let's look at less stress reducing kind of hobbies. And that can be things like pickleball, fishing, tennis, golfing, gardening, anything that helps reduce that stress. It can be going to a museum. And it can be mainly done with your support group friends because those are the people who know best what you're going through. And if you can find that connection in the support group, you've got somebody who will be there with you at all times. One of the things for self-care that's very important for family caregivers is establishing boundaries. So if you don't want to have holidays this year, tell your kids now, we're not having holidays this year. You don't have to do the things you don't want to do. You do have to accept reality, and you do have to keep on living. And that's one of the things that concerns us most because of the high death rate of the family caregiver. And so being in support groups and pushing the envelope to do more than just what you thought that support group could do. People must have socialization in order to age well. When we don't have socialization, our brain simply doesn't work as well because we're not using it. Jamie, we're walking around the house, we're not even talking to the cat. And if we do talk to the cat, we think we must be crazy. We're talking to a cat. You've got to have humans around you of the same cognitive function that you have so that you can age well. And this is a very big topic, and it's been a big topic since before I was in graduate school. Now, this is a, a author I would like you to look at, and I would really like you to look at her books. We had to study some of Gail Sheehy's writing when I was in graduate school because she's one of the few people that writes about normal aging, and she's an expert on what happens to us as we age. And she's even got a special book, Jamie, just for the guys. So understanding men's passages, and by passages, uh, Dr. Sheehy sort of divides things into my 50s, my 60s, my 70s, my 80s, my 90s, and beyond. And in New Passages, Mapping Your Life Across Time, she tells us in that book what to expect will happen to us in each of those stages of our life, in each of those decades. And she is absolutely correct about what will happen. She went back and wrote a book just for the guys, understanding men's passages because men end up not getting studied as much. She also did one on the silent passage, which is women's menopause. So if you'll go through and look at Dr. Sheehy's books, you'll find that she is brilliant. She's a good writer. She's not hard to read. And it can easily help you understand things. So, Jamie, one of the things that I hear a lot is somebody thinks they have dementia because they've started thinking a lot about their lifetime and about what they did, and they've been talking a lot about their lifetime and what they did. They've actually repeated some things. And what you learn from Sheehy's book, Mapping Your Life, is that to reminisce about your life to other people is a normal part of human progression, because in your 50s, you've achieved mastery of your job. In your 60s, and 70s, you're beginning to take sort of a record and a look back at your life to think, what did I do? What did I learn? What could I do better? And how can I apply that to this thing today? So I very much encourage you to go to Amazon and get look at Dr. Sheehy's books, because they're just incredibly interesting and very, very helpful. One of the things you do for yourself, and this is part of self-care, is mindfulness. Mindfulness is being present right now. And for so many of you who have been caregivers, your life has been spent in coulda, woulda, shoulda when you learned something that maybe you didn't do what I would agree with, but now you know, don't do that anymore. And your life may be what if, which is living in the future and causing anxiety. What if this happens? Well, that's could happen, but right now we need this. So when you finish your support group, suggest that we all go do Tai Chi, or ask somebody to come teach Tai Chi at the support group meeting. Mindfulness also means doing things outside, and those are some of the easiest and most enjoyable things for humans to do. Take a walk outside. Jamie, we know that if you step outside for 10 seconds, your blood pressure lowers. Go fishing. Go on a picnic. I actually went on a picnic 2 weeks ago with a dear friend of mine, and we took the charcuterie board. And so basically we took bread, cheese, and some apples, but we did some other fancier stuff with it. We took wine and a little fig and had some other fruits, but it was wonderful. So Think back to things to do with your group that don't just involve sitting around and being terrified about the future, but involve things like right now, what can we do that puts us in this moment today? Lunch outside, dinner outside, restaurants everywhere have outside seating. Now, don't come do that in Texas right now. It's like 118 degrees down here and the humidity is 500%. But where y'all are, mindfulness is also things like a yoga class. And if you think they don't have yoga for older people, you're just not aware of yoga. They have chair yoga, they have sitting down yoga, they have stretching yoga, they have yoga they do in the pool. Join a yoga class and invite your group to come go with you. When we do things in groups, we discover different points about each other. We discover different things about each other. We discover things we have in common. And Jamie, when we go do something scary that we haven't done before, maybe you haven't been to a class in a while, having a friend to share it with certainly makes it fun. And it means that if you have to laugh, you got somebody there to laugh with you, you got somebody there to support you. And that is something that I think is just really, really critical. Now, our country is known as Americans, it's not part of our culture to accept help from people. It's not part of our culture to ask for help from people. And I can tell you as a Texan, we're worse than the rest of the country is. We actually call y'all the Americans and we're the Texans. And at any point, we might just break off on our own. You don't know, we're Texans. But we've not been taught to ask for help. And it can be very difficult for us to accept help. And yet it's part of the human experience. It helps build trust within you and the other members of your support group. And a lot of times, Jamie, we have families tell us that my children don't do anything. A lot of times they don't know you need the help. And so accept help from your support group, offer help to your support group, ask for help from your support group. All of those things just mean we're human. And all of those things just help us get through this journey with our loved ones. Everybody with me, Jamie?
You bet.
Jamie's like, I don't know. I think so, maybe. Jamie, when y'all asked me to do this, I was so excited. I started doing research and I didn't know this. And so I feel really bad that I didn't know this. Did you know your support group can take a cruise together? They can go see another country together. They can go away for a weekend together. There's actually a group in Richardson, Texas called the Celebration Magazine, I believe. But their main focus and what they've done for 30 or 40 years is they take seniors on trips. And the whole entire office staff goes and they go all over the world to places you wouldn't even think of. And they do everything from a 3-day trip to a month-long trip. And every one of us lives near somebody who's a travel agent who can help us do that. But there are specific cruises that are made to have support groups on them so that you can, there really is power in numbers. And when you're in a community, you know some people, but when you see 1,000 people together, it is very empowering for you to know that you really, really, truly are not alone. And I'm not a cruise ship person, but my friends who take cruises say they're the most fabulous thing ever. And so I encourage you and your support group, be the one who brings it up. Let's find a travel agent and see what can a group of us go do together. And it doesn't have to be for months. It can be for a short amount of time, a weekend or a week, but go do something for yourself. And what I know, what Jamie knows, what Chris knows, is your loved one would tell you to do it. And what I know is that the biggest regret people have when they die is they didn't travel enough. So if you've got some friends to go with, go. The world has changed. People go with their friends now. And that's something we didn't see until the last few decades. Jamie, I didn't know if you knew this. I found this out and was like, whoa. Las Vegas, Jamie. Las Vegas routinely hosts caregiver events. They routinely, maybe I didn't say that loudly enough. Look at the last line on that slide. Las Vegas, and I don't think that sign's even in Las Vegas anymore, which is why I picked it. Las Vegas does events strictly for family caregivers. There are conferences that are held there, but there are also hotels there that will take care of your group and make sure that everything is as easy as it can be for you and your friends to be able to come there and let off some steam and have a good time. Your support group is your friends, your companions, but it's not just the physical things, it's the common fears you have, the what ifs, the living in the future, the common experiences you've had as people who grew up in the same time have those similar experiences. I knew somebody once, Jamie, we were 2 years difference in age, but because of what had happened in the world, my taste in music was normal. Her taste in music was totally weird. And there was a 2 year difference in our age. And of course, she was younger than I was, so her music was much, much worse. You want to be around people with those experiences that you've had, those common backgrounds that you've had, because that's part of what we share as humans. It's part of what we share as we come together to go through this event. It's not just us that take care of you because we can't come to your homes really, but your friends can. And you can do things like have dinners. You can do trips. Nobody in the support group is going to ghost you. And the chances are, and Jamie knows this, and I know this, most of you, when you and I meet, don't have friends that call anymore. And you feel like suddenly you're left alone. And we want to make sure your support group doesn't do that, that they truly act as a group of friends and supporters who will be there for you. And dinner and dinner's out. Before you go, just figure out how are we paying for it? Because ladies, men aren't expected to pay for everything. And if we're going as friends, we're going as friends, and we just tell the waitress and everything is taken care of. So don't be worried about things like that. Take yourself out for nice dinners. Don't feel bad about that. And if you're a person who loves KFC, then go to KFC and have a good time. Just be aware of your blood pressure. And then, Jamie, I don't know if I pointed this out, Las Vegas routinely hosts caregiver events. Did I point that out?
Yes.
Wasn't sure.
Yeah, looks good to me.
I had no idea. I know people that love to go to Las Vegas. I know people that would rather have their fingers pulled off. But if that's your thing, maybe it's not Las Vegas. Maybe you all want to go to the beach somewhere. Maybe you want to go to Branson, Missouri. Maybe you want to go to Europe. There are groups that do all of those things. Maybe you want to do a river cruise, an Alaskan cruise. You can do those things together. And because you're a group and because you're a caregiver group, Jamie, I don't know if you know this, but they usually give you a break in the price because of what you're going through. So go for it. Let's all go to Las Vegas. Now, Jamie, one of the best things that we can do for ourselves as we age is dancing. It causes your brain to move large muscle mass in time to music. But in your support group, maybe you've always wanted to take lessons. Maybe you don't know how to dance. Maybe you always wanted to learn tap. I watched a couple the other day, they were in their 80s and they were taking tap dancing lessons. And I was so ashamed because I had tap dancing lessons as a child and I couldn't do anything near what they were doing. Maybe you wanted to learn ballroom dancing. Standing up very straight, that's a big, big thing around the country is to go to ballroom events. Maybe you like country and music dancing. Maybe you just like to dance in your kitchen or dance around anything. And I'm assuming that everybody on this call knows who those two people are. And that would be Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Now, you should know when Fred Astaire went and did his first audition at MGM for them to decide whether or not to put him on as a contract player, Jamie, the person that graded him wrote, can't dance, can't sing, can act a little. And that was Fred Astaire. And then, ladies, every woman out there knows Ginger Rogers did everything Fred Astaire did, and she did it backwards wearing high heels. Dancing with someone doesn't mean we're getting married, Jamie. We can all go dancing together. It doesn't mean anything bad is happening. It just means as a group, we're continuing to live as humans. Does that make sense?
It does.
And then I think sometimes, Jamie, people forget that the family, your family, wants you to go on with life. They don't want to lose two parents right next to each other. They want you to survive. They want you to be happy. They want to see you recover from this. They want to be jealous of what you're doing that they hope they'll be doing when they're your age. They know and they fully believe that you need to keep living. You deserve to keep living. You're the leader of the family. You're the elder of that family, and that's an important role. It's never too old to learn a new hobby. I heard this really interesting statistic the other day, Jamie. They said that if you will, for 10 minutes a day, for 100 days, do that thing, that new hobby, that whatever, 10 minutes a day for 100 days. 100 days is 3.5 months. If you do that for 3.5 months, you will learn that skill. Imagine if you do that skill for an hour a day until you learn it. It is never too old. You're never too old to learn. You have incredibly thick, rich brains. Wrong is we stop using them because we retired. We stopped using them because we're exhausted. But now that someone else is doing the heavy lifting for you, get back out there and learn. If you want to learn to play Mahjong, learn to play Mahjong. Now, Jamie, notice that I am warning you. If you don't play bridge and you're not a lifelong bridge player, do not sit down and play with those 90-year-old plus bridge players. They are vicious, vicious people. There's even a story. You should look up the story about the older bridge players in California. There was a national story on them years ago, and the average age was 96, and they were vicious. If they thought you were slipping, you were out of the group. So learn new games. I've never learned dominoes. I should know how to play dominoes. I'm in Texas, and my grandfather was a state champion. Shame on me. I know how to play golf, but I don't go do it. Pick something, learn it, go do it. If you're taking up golf or tennis or pickleball, nobody expects you to be an expert. What's important is that you're out there, you're moving, you're doing stuff for your body, for your brain, you're making friends, and you're having fun. And that doesn't make you a bad person. What do you think of this kid? Isn't he cute?
Cute.
He is cute, right? Now, you got to remember, for some of your families, that you want companionship, that you want friendship, that can seem really, really odd to them. And a lot of times that has to do with the age of the person. I can tell you that younger people who are teens and 20s, can't imagine why anyone would want to be in their 70s or 80s or 90s because they know you're not having fun, and they're very certain there is no sex after the age of 25. And this is what research shows every single year when they do this study. They aren't old enough to appreciate and realize that we all need socialization. And that stuff that they do on their phone and their computer where they're playing war games with people, that is not true socialization. Socialization is you and me together, share life and real things, not a stupid game for how many people can we kill. So they don't understand about aging, and they don't get what it is that older people go through, and they can't really imagine what's happening. Do you know who these two people are?
Absolutely.
Anybody at all? Do you have any idea how many movies they've made together? I never
Mhm.
realized how many movies they've made together. Their most recent movie is one called Our Souls at Night. And when I was a social worker, Jamie, the director of nurses and the administrator called me in, and they said, we need you to have a discussion with the staff about sex between the residents. This was in a tiny little nursing home in Texas. And they said, we're going to give you 30 minutes to explain older people and sex. And I said, I don't need 30 minutes to do that. And they said, well, of course you do. You've got to have time. You got to explain all this. And I said, no, I can explain this in one brief sentence. Old ain't dead. We all have sexual feelings. If you liked sex when you were 20, you will like sex when you're 80 or 90 or beyond. You might be a little slower, but you're still going to enjoy the physical aspect of life. That is a good thing. So old ain't dead. And remember, 18, 20-year-old people, they don't understand that. That's just icky to them. But what this movie is about is they're both single now. They're both alone. And they're neighbors, and they've known each other for a while, but they've never known each other. And she comes over one day and says, I think we should sleep together because I miss sleeping with my husband. Surely you miss sleeping with your wife, and it'll just be more comfortable if we have somebody to snuggle up with. And they eventually decide to do that, and they eventually fall in love. And so it's a sweet movie, and it lets you know at least Robert Redford and Jane Fonda are making movies for people that are older and not trying to pretend to be 30. Now, there are social theories of aging. This is something that I had to study in graduate school and my doctorate school. The disengagement theory believes that in order to cope effectively in the world, older adults should withdraw from society. And there are societies where that is actually seen, where it is expected that once you're a certain age, we don't want to see you around anymore. The activity theory says that the more active and involved older adults are, the more likely they are to be satisfied with their lives. And when you go into that in greater detail, the activity theory also shows that these folks have healthier brains and healthier bodies. The social breakdown reconstruction theory says that breakdown begins by negative views of older adults. It ends by labeling of yourself. And then social reconstruction is brought about by viewing older adults as competent. So if you think about it for just a moment, there is one group of people that everyone is allowed to make fun of. You can't make fun of people because of weight. You can't make fun of people because of intellect. You can't make fun of people because of any reason unless they're old. And if they're old, we're allowed to make fun of them. That is still how our society views it. And one of the things that just is so aggravating is that when they show an older person in TV, they're always doddering and silly and not bright and doing foolish things. And it leads people to believe that that's what aging is like. But aging is more like the Golden Girls, alert, aware, knowing what's going on, and staying active and vital in their communities and in their friendships, even though I understand in real life they didn't care for each other. The continuity theory builds on the activity theory. Older adults need to try to maintain consistency. You have to adapt to aging by finding new activities and new roles that are meaningful. And that also means finding new friends, because part of getting older is that we lose people. We lose them because of a move. We lose them because our loved one is sick and they stopped calling, or we lose them because they've died. The continuity theory says that we draw on past life experiences to maintain stability and self-identity. And that sort of brings you back to Dr. Sheehy talking about when we look back at our life, we look at our life experiences and we see them now in a different way. Jamie, one of the most interesting studies that I know about is they were looking at the brains of, or they had the brains of people in their late teens, early 20s, all wired up. And they had the brains of people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s all wired up. And they showed the younger people images of war, images of car wrecks, horrible, horrible things. Their amygdala, the almond-shaped piece in the middle of your brain that goes danger, danger. In the younger people, when they saw those images, their amygdalas lit up. They blew the boards. The doctors were astonished. But when you showed those same pictures to people who were older in life, their amygdala went blip. Seen it before. We know that horror happens. We know that life goes on. And sometimes life isn't fair. And sometimes good people get hurt and good people suffer terrible traumas and diseases. But still life goes on. So being able to draw on those experiences means that as grandparents, you're better than you were as parents. And that's why your kids want to leave their kids with you, because you're better at it than they are. You've already seen it and done it. So all of that theory that we look at in aging, if we stay positive, if we stay active, if we keep moving, if we keep reading, if we keep going and doing, then it just helps us to live longer and be happier. Now, just because you're in a support group, and just because you're going out and doing something, and just because you're starting to live life again, you're starting to find your footing again, it doesn't mean you still don't care about her. It doesn't mean you still don't love him. And we know that. We're there to support you through the entire journey, but you're still alive. And so laughter is healing. Friends keep us alive. And use it or lose it means the body, the mind, and the soul. You got to keep getting out there. You got to keep reaching out to people. One of my friends went through, well, she was going through a terrible divorce, and then he did himself in. And when she called me, I couldn't get to her in time. In the next 6 months, I was going to be able to get there. And in the next 6 months, she said, well, she felt like she should do something. And I said, you need to call your high school girlfriends. And if she was a guy, I would have said, you need to call your high school buddies, and you need to all plan a trip together. And she said, oh, I don't want to do that. I just don't know. I don't know anybody anymore. Yeah, you do. I went to school for 12 years with the same group of people. I know all of them. They know you better than anyone. They will support you better than anyone. And sometimes they come up and apologize for something stupid they did in high school. But look up your old friends and go away for a weekend. When my friend came back from a 3-day weekend with 9 old high school girlfriends, she was a different person because she had finally connected with people. She said she laughed all weekend long. You're going to laugh with your friends until your stomach hurts, and you're going to make connections. You're not going to say anything anybody thinks weird because one of your friends also has a loved one with dementia. If you think you've only got the bad grandkid, everybody's got a grandkid that hadn't turned out the way they want. Those friends will save you. So between your support group, old high school friends, maybe your buddies or your college friends, find those friends, the ones that stay in touch with you, and plan on doing stuff with them. Now, grief and post-death grief are normal. Everything you're feeling is normal. Wishing that this whole disease was over and they could go to sleep is normal. And the difference is your support group doesn't judge you for that. They understand that every normal human in your position thinks the very same thing. They wish it could be over tonight. And what we have to remember is life always goes on. And we very, very, very much want you to be part of that life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Jamie sounds like I've really made her sad at times. As you think about your loved one and as you do more stuff with your support group, don't feel guilty for that. There is learned guilt and earned guilt. Learned guilt is where someone has taught you that that event that happened is your fault and you had nothing to do with it. And so when those kind of events happen, you immediately feel like somehow you're guilty and you're not. Earned guilt is when you've done something and you should feel bad about it. So learn the difference between the two. And when you find yourself doing learned guilt, remember that that's just an old family dynamic and it's not true anymore. You're not responsible for that thing or that disease or where your loved one is in the disease. They're doing the best they can, and you just got to do the best you can as well. Caregivers have got to have purpose and socialization. You have to focus on the present. Remember mindfulness, yoga, Tai Chi, going outside, going fishing, gardening, cutting a tree. I don't care what you're doing. Focus on what's going on in the present. Jamie, I recently took up wood carving because it's good for anxiety and it really does help. And I make a beautiful comfort bird. If anyone wants a comfort bird, let me know. I have several. You can help someone else on the journey. Some of you are further along than the other person is. and you can help them. Some of you have already seen that same behavior in your loved one and you got through it. You can help them. You can give reflection and time with others who understand what you're feeling. You're not the only person whose friends stopped calling. The people who will be there with you at the end and at the funeral are in your support group. What I want you to do is all go take a trip together and start to do other things together. It helps with your stress levels. Everybody needs friends. Everybody's got good friends, close friends, but sometimes they go away and you get new friends. Friendships evolve over time, and your very best friend may be sitting across the table from you at the support group and you don't recognize it yet. Time together with others means that your stress level goes down. Plan outings. Be the one to stand up and say, let's all go to lunch today. Let's go do something after this meeting. And having something to look forward to is a crucial part of human existence. We look forward to our vacation. We look forward to dinner out. We look forward to Friday. Right, Jamie? We really look forward to Fridays. So
Absolutely.
find and build something to look forward to. And who says that we can't have fun, right? We have credit cards that aren't full. We have savings. Life in prison doesn't scare us the way it does younger people because we're getting closer there. So get out and have some fun. Do some wild things. Now don't go too wild. Don't go too wild. But stay up late if you want to. Go to bed early if you want to. Do things that you've always wanted to do. Go find somebody else, learn a new thing. Everywhere you go, there are people who will teach you musical instruments. And if you think you live somewhere where you can't learn to play a musical instrument, guess what? They'll teach you on YouTube. They still charge you, but they'll teach you. So there is so much stuff out there that we can still do. In healthy aging, we need physical activity, good nutrition. Much to my horror, red meat 30 days a week is not good nutrition. It really is the Mediterranean diet. Having mental stimulation. Because remember, when you're around somebody who's cognitively impaired all the time, it affects your thinking as well. Social engagement is very, very important to us as we age. It's part of our emotional well-being. It keeps us alive. It keeps our brain functioning. Healthy aging, that physical activity, that nutrition, all of that stuff you're doing gives your body resilience and preventative health measures. So when you go to support group this week, I want you to start a new, a new exercise. When you get to support group, I want you to have everybody take 1 minute and write down 3 things you're grateful for. Jamie, did you know if you do that for 21 days in a row, your immune system begins to boost itself? And when we get older, our immune system can be compromised. So simply by writing in a journal that we are grateful for 3 things every day. It can be, I love my cat, I love my cat, I love my cat. And the next day you can do, I love my dog, I love my dog, I love my dog. It doesn't matter. What matters is that your mind hears you saying, I am grateful for this thing. Now I want to tell you a story about that guy in the Panhandle. Tell you a couple of stories. When my grandfather died, my grandmother was only 58 years old. And the funeral home director told her that she didn't ever need to date another man because any man was going to be after her ranch, her cattle, and her money. And as a result of that, my grandmother never went on another date. She never saw anybody else. And she lived for 25 more years. And all of that because of what one person said to her. Now, when we talk about you doing stuff in a social group, with your support group, it doesn't mean that we're telling you to start having affairs. Okay, you made a wedding vow, you hold that wedding vow, and you keep it close to yourself. I'm speaking in the Panhandle. By the Panhandle, we mean North Texas. And all that morning, the state group that brought me in, all that morning they kept telling me that I had to meet the doctor. I had to meet the doctor. He's the most famous doctor in the Panhandle. He's a wonderful doctor. He's a surgeon. He's just so wonderful. And I need to meet him because his wife is she's getting close to the end of Alzheimer's. And we have a break, and the doctor comes down because I'm speaking at the university, and he comes down the steps, and I'm going up the steps. And I said, "You must be the doctor." And he said, "Yes, yes, I'm the doctor, and I'm a surgeon, and I've been here forever. And you know about my wife, and I feel pretty sure she's in late stage 6 or the beginning to go into stage 7." And I said, "Sir, I'm just so sorry. If there's anything I can do to help you, please call me. It's my specialty." And I said, "But I'm telling you this, don't get married again, because you're in your 80s and the chance of marrying another person with dementia go up every day." And that's when the doctor told me that he was already dating another woman. And nobody seemed to know that. And I was shocked that he was telling me he was cheating on his wife. And he told me that one of his sons told him to do whatever made him happy. And his other son told him he was ashamed of him and he didn't want to see him as his father. And he asked me what I thought of that. And I said, "I think one son wants your money and one son is the man you raised." Now, when we see this happening in communities, I can think of 5 times without having to think hard of when a spouse began an affair before their loved one had died from dementia. And for reasons I can't explain, Jamie, the person with dementia lived an extra year or 2. And the staff always believed it was the soul of the person with dementia getting them back. So I'm not sure about that. I haven't found research on that. So the point of my story is that I want you to take care of yourselves. I want you to get to know your support group. I want you to develop friendships with new people who understand what you're going through and help you get through this horrible, horrible disease. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Jamie says, "No, doesn't make sense to anybody at all." So how was that? How was that? I haven't had to do a aging theory in a while. So how is everybody?
Well, let's see if we have any questions or comments from the group. I personally remember taking a group of folks from support group out to lunch. And once we went out to lunch together as a support group, going out to lunch together, they related so differently to each other. And it's such a more like they were friends then, just because they had that opportunity to really casually dine together. There's something about doing that can
Being
really
social, without being
change
around
that dynamic.
And I don't, Jamie, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't for one moment believe that any of you has a spouse that wants you to be miserable and wants you to be alone. I think every one of you, because of the care and love you've shown your person, I fully believe that they want you to keep living and they want you to go on with your life. And I think that that's an important thing to accept and to move on in the best way that you can. And however you do it, it's your own. We all grieve differently and we all go through traumas differently. But your support groups and your team at Anthem will help you in every way. And Jamie, I noticed you went off on the lunch too.
Well, yes, of course.
Well, of course you did. Yeah.
I had the credit card.
Does anybody have any questions? I spoke earlier today and that group was so depressed that they were just all crying and all I could do was hand them Kleenex when they left. I thought this was more more uplifting.
If you have a question that you want to put into the chat or a comment, feel free to do that. Raise your hand if you need help coming off of mute. We have a few minutes that we can take any questions that might be out there.
Well, this is a quiet group today. Steve's not asking a question. Amanda's not asking a question. See who else on here I recognize. Lisa's not asking a question. I don't know Lisa, but I'm just, picking out names. Oh, Kelly runs the Wichita group. That's right. Hey, Kelly. Really not a single question, guys?
And I would say that it's probably not limited to the topic that we've discussed, because we've covered so many different topics together with Dr. Tam. And oh, look at Amanda. She's got her
Hey,
hand up.
Amanda, what you thinking?
Hi, Tam.
Hi, Amanda.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So,
Good.
a question that I've experienced lately is how I'm trying to figure out how to word it. Sometimes when the spouses come in, they expect, for example, lighter lunches, heavier dinners. How would
No,
you, how
no,
would
it's the
you explain
opposite.
that?
Well, it has to do with our digestive system as we age. And it has to do with when people get into more advanced dementia, they go to bed earlier. And if they've got a heavy meal sitting in there, then their blood circulation goes to digesting the food, and it actually interferes with their sleep cycle. So for older folks with dementia especially, we do a heavier lunch and we use a lighter dinner. And it's just because of how the human body ages and uses food. When people reach a certain age, they just simply don't eat big, heavy meals for dinner. And it's normal for people to eat meals earlier, even, especially older folks. Yeah. So normally in a community, I would expect to see a nice, healthy breakfast, a big, pretty lunch, and a nice, comforting meal for dinner. But it's not the big meal. The big meal comes in at the lunch meal.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we've had a
It's
few things
just-
pop up.
Okay. All righty then.
How do caregivers find balance between being loyal to their loved one while in memory care and also living life to the fullest outside of being present for them in the walls of their home? Finding balance.
I think everybody has to figure that out on their own. I'm not really sure what you're asking me in the question. I think you got to know what your limits are. I think you got to know what your heart says, because some of you have been grieving for so long and the person you knew isn't there anymore. And so I think it comes down to your beliefs about your vows, promises you've made. And it's really just up to you. It's not to me to judge you. You're the one that needs to find that balance. Does that make sense? Did that even answer the question? Let's go to Amanda. She'll tell me. Steve will tell me. Tam, that didn't answer the question at all.
Well, I think finding balance could actually be a myth. It's something I think we think we're supposed to find that we may not.
We may not. And some of you may not find that true balance until death occurs. Some people, I mean, it's not at all unusual as a caregiver that you've been doing care for 10, 15, and some of you even 20 years. You've been taking care of somebody who's slowly dying of brain damage. And so it would make sense that you may not have the same emotion for them. It doesn't mean you don't care for them. You're obviously making sure they're taken care of. But I think everybody has to look to find what their own balance is of what it is that makes you not feel overwhelmed with guilt, but lets you feel like you're living your life and you're starting your life again. My biggest fear is not what you're doing at home. My biggest fear is that when your loved one dies, you won't have a friendship base, you won't know people, you won't be going out, you won't know how to go out anymore. And so doing this with support groups and in some ways trying to move on in your life, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing.
Kelly, your friend from Wichita that runs a support group, says that she can attest to the power of the support group, and looking forward to seeing you back in Wichita in September.
Awesome.
April asks, how do you help your child who is in denial on where their parents' journey is really at? My parents didn't look like the people here. When someone's adult child is touring and doesn't feel like their parent doesn't recognize where their parent truly is in their dementia journey.
So get on your phone go to your pictures. Look for 10 years of pictures. And that's 10 pictures from 10 separate years. Go back and see if you can get your, so for example, if I take a picture of this guy right now, okay, it'll move to the front of my photo click. So what I want to do is find 10 years of pictures of him. Because you're looking at the person every day, you don't see what we see. And when you go into a community, you very likely are going to see late stage people, and stage 5 people need to be in that community to keep them safe and to keep others safe. They need to be in that community. But stage 5 people, we call all dressed up and ready to go because they don't look sick. Stage 6 people look sick. Stage 7 people are bedbound. Get those 10 pictures of your person from that decade. Line those pictures up. What is it? What year is it? 2025. So go back to 2015. Blow up their face. Don't just take the picture, blow up their face. If you're in the picture, I'm sorry, we're going to cut you out. We're not looking at you, we're looking at them. What you'll realize is pictures where you thought they were smiling, they're not smiling. Pictures on vacation where you think y'all are having fun, there's no light in their eyes. And as you line up those 10 years, those 10 pictures together, Jamie, you will begin to see what we see, which is that this person is sick. The flesh is going from their face, even though to you they don't look different. To us, they very much have a look that we recognize. And it's extremely difficult to step through those doors if you have not been prepared for you're going to look at people, and some of them look like they're in a concentration camp because that's what this disease does. And it's not you and it's not us doing our jobs wrong. It's a brain disease, and the brain runs the body. So as it destroys the brain, it eventually catches up to where it destroys the body. So one of the ways to help you realize is to simply look at 10 years of your loved one's face. Blow the face up where you can see it, and you'll see the change that has occurred in that decade. Okay, and prepare yourself, because a lot of times families are shocked, Jamie, because they didn't realize that she wasn't smiling in that picture.
Mm-hmm.
He thought, I'm grinning from ear to ear, and every time I look at that picture, and the picture was on their fireplace mantle, he said, every time I look at that picture, I'm so happy, we were having so much fun. And I said, but do you look at her? What do you see when you look at her? And that's when he realized, she's not actually with me in that picture. It's just me.
Yeah.
So it's there, and it's because we're professionals, we see it. And it's not you being bad. It's you reacting with shock, because it is a shocking disease.
And we have one last question in the chat. This is says, I have a family member who is a pediatrician, and she wants to give back to the community and find purpose. Any suggestions?
Yeah, be a geriatrician instead. It's the opposite end. Texas will even finish her medical school for free if she'll study geriatrics. And we have 6 whole people enrolled. Because nobody wants to do geriatrics. So I'm not sure what it is she's wanting to do. As a pediatrician, wanting to volunteer?
She says give back to the community, so it does sound that way.
Well, as a physician, she's going to see sick people. And as a pediatrician, she'll see behaviors that are like looking at a child, and it's because of how much brain damage there is in a person. So I think it's just going to be her personality and how she sees herself able to give back to the community. But pediatricians are the doctors of little kids, and geriatricians are the doctors of aging. So she might do a certification in aging medically. She's a physician. So there's just no telling what she could do.
That is the end of the questions that are currently in the chat.
Really? And nobody's depressed yet? Are you depressed? I can't see anybody's faces. Every one of you has your video turned off.
You told us to get ready to have fun, so we're not
Yeah,
and
that
to go
would
to
be
Las Vegas.
I think y'all, I mean, I really think you need to look at cruise ships, the river ships, the river cruises, Branson, Missouri. They do bus trips. Talk to a travel agent. Okay, Jamie, just like you loaded everybody up and went to lunch, get a travel agent to come in and see. And you'd be surprised. And it might be something that ends up being the best time of your life because you don't have to worry about anything because someone else is going to take all of the care while you go off and just relax and have fun. Send me postcards.
Me too.
Do they make postcards anymore?
They do.
Okay, awesome.
Dr. Tam, we really want to thank you for being with us. We know it's been a very difficult week in your neck of the woods and with the people that you love around you in Central Texas and the Hill Country. We would just encourage anyone who is thinking about the folks who are experiencing so much loss due to the floods of the Guadalupe River that you consider a donation to any of the charities that are assisting people in recovery. I know there's a great list on the New York Times website, and I'm sure there's others out there. Of course, the Salvation Army is always a good one as well, and the Red Cross. But we would encourage you to do that in honor of our good friend Dr. Tam and all of the families that we've been thinking so much about since that occurred and is still occurring. We appreciate you. We look forward to you being in Wichita with us in September. Reach out to Chisholm Place if you are in Wichita or thereabout and want to attend that event. Steve and Sarah can give you all the details.
Absolutely.
And we wish everyone a wonderful evening and hope you find a great purpose as you're out there. And Cincinnati in August, Amanda says.
Yes, yes. Amanda has to keep calling me and reminding me, and I'll go now. Am I coming there like in September? She's like, it's August 14th, and quit doing that to me. And I'm like, are you sure? I think it's more like it's in September, October. And then she assures me that it's not.
Next
so
month.
I'll see Cincinnati. I'll see you guys. I'll see Wichita. Excited to see you guys. Cincinnati's just the appetizer. Steve, you guys are so competitive. Thank y'all for your prayers. It is greatly appreciated. It was a real hard week for us. And appreciate all that y'all have done, all you do for your loved ones. Thank all of you professionals for what you do for everybody. And y'all have a good week. Take care of each other. Be safe going home if you're in the communities. And of course, if you ever need a question answered, you know how to get a hold of me. Just give me a call. Okay?
All right. Good night,
All
everybody.
right. Good night.